HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, but most likely on YouTube. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hit that like button with your host Komp and
IP address.
in today's film is
Malignant 2021.
Malignant 2021. Madison is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these waking dreams are in fact terrifying realities. Directed by James Wan, written by James Wan, Ingrid Blau, Akila Cooper, starring Annabelle Wallace, Maddie Hasten, and George Young. So, Danny, why'd you pick Malignant 2021?
Didn't you pick it? You picked it.
I did pick it. That's why it was a trick question, because I forgot what I said.
Okay.
So I picked Malignant because it is a brand new movie by the director of The Conjuring and all those other movies and Saw 1. And it was streaming.
He only did the one Saw, right?
Yes. So this movie is obviously this director is hopping back into horror after he did. I think he did one of the Fast and Furious movies. I'm not sure. And then he also.
I thought he's been nonstop with the original.
No, he'll do like 2 of those movies, and then different directors will direct like spin-offs. There's like 20 movies in the Conjuring franchise. I know. All great movies, right, Danny?
Yeah.
You liked the first Conjuring, I think. I'm not sure, but
I mean, it was okay. I don't like this director, to be honest.
So
or
yeah,
his
and he also
spin-offs.
did Aquaman, which made like $1 billion, which people were like, "What?" Because like all the other movies didn't make that much money, but like Aquaman did. So it was like weird that a character everybody like were like Aquaman, and then they're like enough people watch it, so good for him.
Yeah. No, good.
So James Wan is a director. I like you am not really interested in his style of films.
I find most of his movies very like mainstream, cookie cutter.
Right.
You know,
as opposed to Saw, which was like his most.
The first Saw.
Right.
Yeah. The rest are like okay. There's some okay ones, but I don't know.
Wait to see you should see the Spiral one with Chris Rock.
I don't want to.
You've got to see it. If you don't see it, you're racist. But I saw this. I was watching. I was like, all right, let me see if it's an okay movie, because it's a new horror movie. It's a fresh new horror movie. It's out there. It's streaming. So this is like
and how do you feel?
I know you and I feel differently about this movie, and it's exactly what I thought it was for the first hour and a half of the movie, which I always feel like James Wan, when he does like the new horror, not compared to Saw, because Saw was like a completely different thing. Saw was like a weird mishmash ripoff of
Saw
Seven.
Was his first movie, basically.
Yeah, it was like a weird sort of, it flirted more with Seven vibes than this does. Although my friend pointed out that there's a scene in this movie that is like completely like a Saw.
I think he's very inspired by Giallo.
That's what they said. A lot of people said about this, that this was like Giallo film. But with this one, like I always feel, it feels like somebody trying to do a hardcore horror movie, but like with Spielberg tendencies, where it's like trying to please a crowd of people, and it's just too safe and it's antiseptic. You know, it's like very clean horror.
Yeah, although it got some cool
it does
shots
get
in
gory
there.
towards the end. That's why, like, I when I was watching,
the ending is.
Like I was telling people.
But what do you think of like cool shots, like upside down house?
I mean, I'll get to that. Like, no,
stuff?
I think technically and aesthetically, he's fucking great. Like the look of the whole film. Like, I mean, for the most part, like the camera part when she's running around the house and the camera's like following her overhead. Cool. You know, because I was like, I saw that in Midsommar. You know, when she goes from out of the room into the airplane to show like the room changing and stuff like that. But my friend told me that he used this technique in one of his earlier films, Insidious or something. Another movie I just couldn't fucking stand. Well,
I actually liked that.
I know you did. And Insidious was a movie about finding a demon that has a crafts room who's sewing in his own room. But anyway, in this, that's what I felt about this movie. Like, technically, with all the camera work and the flipping around, I was like, this is fucking gorgeous. But to me, it felt like The Conjuring or Insidious, that it was just sort of like, it could be great horror technically, but it just looks like it's just not scary. And I understand it, because you and I are not scared easily by these movies anymore. Or this specifically, this style. This is more like any. Right. Really. This is more of like a crowd-pleasing horror film, and you see it that way. You see like, because you'll see parts.
But I think for that idea, I think it was pretty good. Like if you're somebody who doesn't really know a lot of horror and you watch this, you'd be very happy.
I'm sure people were like, a lot of people. This movie bombed. Apparently, it didn't make enough money.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's so like.
While I was watching this, towards the end, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what does this remind me of? And to me, it reminded me of fucking Evil Dead Trap. I was like, hey, wait a minute. This is like a Hollywood version of, because remember Evil Dead Trap was about a parasitic.
Well, the second one I remember way better.
Second was I was actually rewatching some of that, and I was like, that was a fucking good movie. But Evil Dead Trap 1, which you disliked, was a movie about a parasitic twin, like a little brother of one guy.
Hideki or something.
Hideki.
Right? Like,
he was able to float and control shit with his mind, right? And it's the same thing here, but it's also
but this is also very much like Dark Half, Stephen King.
Okay, I haven't seen. Is that a book? It's a movie and a book, right?
It's a book and a movie. George Romero, I think, directed. It's about a writer who had a parasitic twin when he was a kid.
Okay. And
now the twin has writes his stories under a pen name.
Okay.
You know, like a hidden name and takes on its own kind of life, and it's like an evil thing. And this, there's no way this movie was not inspired by that.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of an X-Files episode, which is about well, I don't want to spoil the episode, but it's about obviously just bringing it up as a spoiler, but it's about Mulder and Scully, an episode you should watch because you've only seen one episode, which was a good one called Home, but this one was about them going into a freak show and trying to solve murders in it, and it also has to deal with a parasitic twin. So this is not a new idea. It's the way that they deal with it in this one, where it's seems like an on the level sort of boring horror film for me. The first hour, because I think you're still in the mode that I am.
I think I felt like it was. You think what?
I think you're in the same mode I was, but a little longer. That you were just watching the first half of the film, going okay, whatever. Then the last half of the film is so bonkers and stupid and entertaining.
I love it.
I know that it affected the rest of the film.
I was watching it and thinking, okay, it's not so bad. It's okay. Everything was okay. And then all of a sudden it became my favorite movie.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, the X-Files episode is called Humbug. An episode I would, even if you don't watch the show, just watch that sole episode. It's fucking incredible. It's called Humbug, and then watch the other one called
Humbug.
So anyway, with this, so I'm watching the first, because there was just shit that just didn't make any sense in the film. The first beginning of the film.
I think it all makes sense.
No, I know, but some dialogue stuff, the dialogue was really bad in this movie. Towards the end, so let's say this main character, right? Who's she played by? Very pretty lady. I've felt like I've seen
Annabelle Wallace.
I felt like I've seen her in other stuff, but I don't know from what. But anyway, she is playing the tormented main character of this film. Let's jump back a little bit at the beginning. In the beginning of the film, we see some sort of hospital process going on where they're like, oh, we got to remove this malignant cancer. That's where the name Malignant for the film is. And it just jumps, and I was like, okay, what the fuck was that about? You actually see the monster through a thing in the opening of the film. So I wasn't sure what was going on because the premise in the trailers is oh, it's my imaginary friend that's killing these people. So I thought that's what this movie was about. Apparently, it's about something else. It's more based on Edward Mordrake, which was this story that it's about. Edward Mordrake is this guy that I think it's a false story, but people have taken it as reality. It's a character that actually showed up in American Horror Story Freak Show. It's the guy with two faces, or he has a front forward face, and the back of his head is a face that would tell him to do that would whisper to him in the night to kill people and shit like that.
It's also like the guy in Nightmare Before Christmas, was the mayor, right?
Right, the guy, but he's spinning his face though. He's he didn't have whatever that was. So so the movie goes on with this lady. Her name is Madison. She lives with an abusive husband. He smashes her head
when he died.
Smashes her head into a fucking wall, which I was like, boy, that was excessive. Even I was like,
well, that's what
right. That's what wakes up Bonehead. And the killer in the beginning of the film was very clearly a Samara Ringu monster.
Yeah, I thought it was a ghost actually at first.
That's what I thought too. I knew there had to be some psychic thing where she was controlling it. I thought it was actually an actual separate person from her, which I guess
I didn't think it was her at all. Actually,
yeah, I thought it was gonna go that way, but so anyway,
I was completely surprised.
Her husband gets killed. They live in this gigantic, fucking beautiful house. I don't know.
It was cool to see Seattle. I lived, and there are houses like that in Seattle,
okay.
Victorian houses.
Okay, I didn't know where this movie took place.
Oh yeah, it's all Seattle.
Yeah, I guess now that I realize I saw the part where they're doing the underground tours, I saw something about that earlier.
Yeah, I went on that tour. It was really cool.
Oh, cool.
And they
were you chased? Were you
Space
chased by a backwards psychopath?
Uh-huh. I mean, that was the best part.
Does a lady come out and go, like when she takes you to the farthest place? She goes, "Okay, guys, you better run real quick," and then you see a backwards person running after you.
Yeah, I mean, I survived. That was the fun of it.
And you get the T-shirt from it.
What was the at one point they kind of imply that the knife that she uses or he uses is
yeah, they showed it. They
hammered out of out of an award or something.
Yeah, it was an award that she got. And you see it early in the film when he breaks it off and then just decides to chisel it down or something.
Okay,
I remember seeing
I missed that little moment or something.
I don't know who would make an award that fucking sharp and that evil looking, but like it was like part of a star or something like that. But anyway, so she has this stuff that doesn't make any sense. She has a sister, Madison, who's actually played by an actress named Maddie. So it's funny, playing Sydney, who's her sister, which doesn't make any sense because her name is Madison Mitchell and her sister's name is Sydney Lake. So I don't know why it's
Madison Lake because she was married.
Okay, right. Sorry. So she was adopted at 8 years old by Sydney's parents before Sydney got born, and Madison's like a dickhead a little bit because I don't know what happens at 8 years old where you're like, oh, these people. She's obviously 30 or something by now, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I always wanted somebody to connect you. I'm like, this is a fucking family that adopted you at 8 years old. That's your family. You know what I mean? Like even the part where she pulled a knife out on the mother sleeping and they continue to keep her, like, that's your family, no? Like, am I going crazy? Because throughout the whole film,
but I mean, I guess
she comes out with this.
I'm not adopted.
They put
so
this. They put this.
Well,
Danny, I got news to tell you. But anyway, so they're like, they do this stupid shit where she's like,
what a relief.
You're German, Danny.
Actually, that's in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry's so relieved when he finds out.
But this is she does dialogue where she's like, I want somebody to have a blood connection with. She's telling this to her sister her sister who's younger than her, that she grew up as her older sister.
Yeah, but then she takes it back.
I know, but that's the whole reason for that stupid line in the movie. Like, you can tell the writer going, you know how we can make this like a really heartfelt family movie? We can have her say that she doesn't like her family, but at the end she loves her family. It's like, get the fuck out of here with that.
And you see the mom smiling when it zooms out and everything.
Yeah, did you see it? That lady's smile was disturbing. Like, I thought I was the only one that noticed that because this lady's smile looks
I noticed
like a cartoonish, scary smile at the end. Like her birth mother has this really. Because you're looking, there's three of them in the frame. You see the two sisters on the left, and then I'm like, my eye drew over to the mother, and she has this like the Mask size style smile. Like, it was gigantic smile. I was like, this is disturbing. But yeah. So and like her adopted mother's like in a wheelchair. They don't explain that, so I don't know what's going on. Or maybe she's just sickly or something. But like she uses a line at the end that bothered, and it shouldn't have bothered me because it's just like bad writing. But she tells her sister, "I've always yearned for a blood connection." Have you ever said yearn to anyone in your entire life?
I've written it, but I've never said it.
That is because that's writing dialogue. That's not a dialogue people say in real life.
You have to read dialogue out loud.
Yeah, right.
Every writer. Please.
So there's some small things, small nitpicky things. Like overall, I think those. I was saying that 20 minutes out of an hour and.
I felt like it was intentionally campy and cheesy.
No.
You don't think so?
No. The crazy part at the end, yes. Like that's
not that. I mean, like I feel like the dialogue and some of the acting was intentionally.
I think that he thought he was making another Conjuring masterpiece where like people either love this or they hate this movie. Like I've seen, there's no like.
I don't know. I feel like he kind of checked out and he was like, "Let's just have fun."
Right. That's what I felt too. I felt that the first hour and a half of this movie was so fucking boring. When you actually see like the part.
I wouldn't say it was boring, but it was
Okay, fine. I think that's boring, but the part when the cop starts chasing that guy, I woke up. I literally was like falling asleep watching the movie. Like I forced myself to watch the first hour of this movie because I was falling asleep.
Third act though is so.
It's good. Fantastic. But so there's this cop called Kokoka Shaw. I think he must be a Hawaiian name. I think that somebody brought that up that he's Hawaiian. He's this handsome guy who's he's like 41 years old, and I was like, I look 55 compared to this fucking guy. And he's like the incredibly handsome cop with I forgot. There's somebody on YouTube. She's called she's the one that put us in the thing where we answered all those questions. Her name is her channel is called What Did I Just Watch? and she said that
Okay.
I think she called him not Brandon Lee, and he called her partner not Wanda Sykes. I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, she does look like Wanda Sykes.
I was like, yeah, you're right. That does look like them. So they're like a couple, like they're like the team of these detectives.
That's what I thought she looked like. I didn't realize that. I was like, who does she look like?
Nicole Brianna White as Regina Moss. So they're sort of the two, like she's sort of the asshole cop, and he's like the understanding cop. I assume maybe because he's Pacific Island.
You know,
Asian.
it's a work of fiction because all cops are bastards. Go on.
So I thought that he was like I think it was like a stand-in, which is good, like Asian representation because the director James Wan is Asian. So I assume that was like, you know, putting a cool like Asian lead. I hope that's what that meant. But then like it's weird because I think his wife is that cute detective that's like in love with Kokoa Shaw. You know, the little girl with the glasses that has a crush on him in the movie. I think that's his wife. Yeah. That's his wife, the director's wife.
Okay.
And she's like this really pretty girl. But like for me, I was like, what's the point of that character? Like,
there was no point. It was comedy relief.
Yeah, and it was bad comedy. So like the comedy.
I liked her comedy, but I wish they had done more or less.
Because I thought the writing overall was pretty bad, but I thought that her line when she's like after the police off massacre shit, I was like, she's like, why am I calling the cops? Like I thought that was an actual funny line in the movie. I think this movie could have worked better if it had, although if it had different writers, they wouldn't have done this. Like Lee Whannell, who wrote Saw and who wrote Invisible Man and all those other movies like Upgrade and stuff like that, if he had written this, I'm sure it would have been a completely different film, and we wouldn't have gotten that. I know. No, we'll get to that right. We'll get to that right now. But I think, like you said, it is fucking cookie cutter. The first hour is just like, oh, this is just. It's like the corniest
but I think it was
horror movie.
Like particularly good cookie cutter.
You know what this sounds like to me, Danny? It sounds like you were in a relationship like with a guy that was like just so boring and treated you like shit, and then one night he fucks you so good that you're like, you know what? It wasn't so bad those first couple of months of the relationship. He gives you such a good fucking one day that like, wow, you know what? That part wasn't so bad. We got to the good part, you know? So that's what I felt with this movie is. It's like you're in a relationship with somebody who just like doesn't pay attention to you. They're just giving you run-of-the-mill shit, and then they give you the biggest cunnilingus you've ever got in your life. Because that's what this movie does. Like, I would love to see a full hour and a half. Because that last part where...
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know if it would work if it was the full thing. It was that it was so unexpected.
It was so unexpected. So explain what the best part of this movie to you is, Danny.
You find out... so the sister and the mom go to the old clinic that... You know,
a small thing that bothered me with that also, because how antiseptic and clean the movie looks. Like you can tell a lot of it was like CGI backgrounds, like all made up shit.
Yeah.
This is something that nobody else should be bothered by. Because he does a Fincher technique where obviously something was green screen, but you don't notice in David Fincher movies, like when we saw Zodiac and stuff like that. Did we review? I feel like we reviewed Zodiac.
Yeah, we did Zodiac.
So Zodiac, a lot of that movie is the backgrounds are fake, but you would never notice it. In this
I never knew that. Okay.
In this one, like if you see on YouTube, you can see the behind the scenes. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. You feel like you've been lied to, which is true. But with this, when the sister drives up to the psychiatric ward or wherever it was, she drives this car to the very peak of a cliff. And I'm like, I'm looking at it going, what? Like, I know it's something not to be bothered by, but if you're approaching a cliff, I wouldn't drive 10 feet in front of that fucking thing. I would just drive to the side. She drives to the very... Because you can tell, just as a production-wise, they're like, okay, we're going to fill the whole background. She probably drove in a place that was, like, safe. Like, obviously, there was no fucking drop where she was, and they just erased it and put this whole cartoon background and shit like that. And that bothered me so badly. It was such a small nitpick that
I didn't notice it.
So what goes on from there when she finds out?
All right, so they find the interviews with the doctor from the very first scene, and like, you know, young Maddie and Madison or whatever, and it reveals that she has a parasitic twin growing out of the back of her, and I didn't expect it to be. I mean, I don't know. It was just so shocking to see the full body.
I thought it was a good reveal. Like I thought that was pretty fucking cool. Like that
was. Yeah, no, it was a good twist.
It was like a batshit like crazy thing like you would not see in movies in a long time.
It was so like it felt like Basket Case or something like that.
Right. I never seen Basket Case, but I understand. Like you just looking at it, like you've never seen that in a film. Although we
Yeah.
have seen that kind of reveal in most
It
films.
was just so
We haven't seen it recently.
funny.
Yeah, it was so over the top and nuts that I was like, I gave him like, oh fuck, that was great. Like just the how they revealed it, you know, even though.
And then, I mean, that's the scene where she says, "Let's cut out the cancer." So that
Right.
they cut it out, but there's still little bits attached to her brain because they can't remove her brain.
Yeah,
without
they
killing
couldn't
her,
remove
so-
the head, so they pushed it into her skull and sealed it up.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the design of the monster, like, the face of the monster fucking is awful. Like, I don't like the design of the face.
It reminded me of Contra 3, like in the video game art where you see it in the clouds.
It's just guys running straight and flipping. They can't make left or right. They just running straight.
Right.
Yeah, I like the actual body design of it. It's obviously just like a ring wig on a cheap monster face. The face sucks. But the fact that it runs...
I kind of liked it because it was sucked, but like in such a like fun way.
No, I like the way that the monster moved, like because it's obviously somebody walking backwards, and their whole jacket is on backwards and shit like that. And somebody did this. They took a poster. You saw that Tom Green movie?
I'm the backwards man. I'm backwards man. I'm backwards. Yeah.
They took a photo of him looking in the mirror and they put Malignant on it. I was laughing so hard. It was so stupid. But so I love that design, like, and how crazy. But it's like a Hong Kong movie. It's like it turns into
the way
a
it's
Hong
jumping
Kong...
around like this, like ninja and like
because somebody
killing everybody. It was so.
Somebody
great.
brought up, they were like, "Oh, this." It was a funny response after, but they were like, "This fucking guy just like did like a Sam Raimi like movie in the middle of it."
Yeah. No, it's very Sam Raimi.
Somebody was like, "Don't you compare that hack to Sam Raimi?" I was laughing my ass off.
No, but it felt like that. I mean, at one point when I really started loving it, at one point she does this like backwards bend thing and stabs someone at the same time. It's like this is so absurd. Like there's no way not to enjoy
this.
This
is like it's Hong Kong Category 3 lunacy. Like, you know, we've done a couple of like Hong Kong like,
but like combined with the scene from The Matrix where they're hiding behind the pillars and shooting at people.
And it's also like this scene from Maniac Cop 2, like a movie that we will eventually review. But there's like a massacre at a police thing. But it reminded me of that too. Obviously, I don't know if James Wan saw that, but this scene where he just goes crazy and starts killing every cop. And then when he also like fucks up all the women, which I thought was like bullshit, the women in the prison. It was, like,
I enjoyed that too.
There was this young like African American woman that was like dressed up like in the 70s for some reason. And then there was also Zoe Bell from Death Proof, the one who she was also the stunt person for The Bride and Kill Bill.
I thought didn't she get really in?
No, not that I know of her. She's there.
There
in
was
the
like
movie.
a whole thing about her getting really hurt. Something.
Oh, she's fine for that movie, I guess. I don't know. She was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but
yeah, okay.
But it was funny to see them. She didn't do any like crazy stunts. She just got her ass kicked. But like, it's like
she was the main girl that was screaming, right? Like
the with the blonde hair, yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's my thing about this film. Like I thought like you have to sit through like a bunch of crap in the beginning of this film. Because the last half...
It's worth it, though.
Yeah. That's what I told you, remember? Like, I was like, the movie wasn't good, but the last half is so fucking great that you'll enjoy it. Like, overall, you'll give it a positive thing.
It's just so silly. Like, it's so bad and good at the same time.
There is no way... Like, I guess there won't be a sequel because it didn't make enough money, I guess.
They leave it open, though.
There is no fucking way that... she is not going to jail. Even if they can explain...
Oh, of course. She kills like a million people.
This psychic fucking twin in the back of your head, there's no fucking way this lady is getting out of it. So that whole
She kills like 20 cops.
Her sister had a hospital bed dumped on her. You know how heavy that is? And she's shooting blood out of her mouth? Like, her sister should be fucking dead. But I did like that part where Gabriel was able to fog up her mind and put her in a different reality even though she was in the same space.
Yeah.
So like the part where like,
she was him. She was imagining that she was in her house.
He was playing with her mind. He was able to control her mind. That's why she was able to do it to him at the end when she put him in prison.
Right, but I'm saying
that's like when she was going to cut the birthday
all the
cake
scenes where
stuff
she's
like
laying in bed seeing him murder somebody.
She was actually
murdering
right?
somebody.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at the beginning. That's why I like the part when the cop first confronted Gabriel and she was in the room. I was like, didn't he see her in the room? You know what I mean? But then I was like, oh, so she was there, but like. He couldn't obviously see her face, which is funny because that cop was able to chase a guy flying through the air. So Gabriel was obviously able to that bullshit Hollywood thing. Oh, you're only using 1% of your brain, which is like if you use 99% of your brain, you'd fucking die or something like that. You'd fight, your nerves would cross. But so he's able to have that sort of superpower and stuff like that, and he wanted revenge on his mom and stuff like that. So I'd say the last half an hour is a good makeup for the first hour and a half of this movie, because it's like an hour and 50-minute movie. But I think that the latter half of this film is so fucking brilliant.
I agree. I think it was.
It's brilliant in a kooky way.
Even
it's
if
still
the
bad writing.
cutterness of it was like well done, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not.
Like,
and the thing is, here's the thing: it's not brilliant in the writing. That's the thing. See, it's brilliant in the action, in the craziness of it. Because obviously it's written as that scene, but it's not people talking or whatever horse shit they did in the first half. It's an actual like crazy sequence, and that's what makes it fun. It's like you want movies to end this crazy. You know what I mean? Like a lot of movies don't know how to end their films. And
he definitely like took a risk.
Yeah, and I think that's the strongest part of this film. Like, so this would like. If this had ended any other way, like it had ended like one of his usual films, it would be like a lower score for me. But because of this last half an hour being so fucking crazy and stuff that you don't see in U.S. movies, you know what I mean? They're always like some safe horror shit, and then you'll have some kid look at the screen and you hear some weird music, you know, that bullshit.
And it will be like a jump scare or something. Yeah.
Yeah. This last half an hour is so entertaining because how stupid it is, but in a great way. That's why I would give this movie. I'll give this movie a 6 out of 10. Getting your abusive boyfriend to smash your head into a wall. Well, not getting him, but your abusive boyfriend smashes your head into the wall so much that you release your psychic karate powers. What rating would you give Malignant 2021?
I give this movie a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Having a entire person monster growing out of your back, and somehow you never notice that you have terrible scars on your back. In the back of your head has a big bald spot and all.
Yeah, I realized that she forgot that she had actually had a parasitic twin. That's
How
bizarre.
could you forget that?
I would at 8 years old, right?
Wouldn't you have a giant scar? I mean, her whole spinal column had to have a big fucking scar.
I think it was only attached by the neck. So it wasn't like, was it on her back too, right?
Brain, neck, back. I mean, it was growing. You saw it flopping around.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that's more that good writing. So with that, Danny, what's the final word?
Bookshelves. Oh.
The HorrorDeconstruction.